November 11th, 1620, 400 years ago today, the passengers of the Mayflower wrote and signed the Mayflower Compact. This document expressed their vision for the new society they would create once they set foot onto this unfamiliar land. It would serve as the foundation of the soon-to-be-built Plymouth colony, and the principles that shaped this document would go on to become foundational principles of American communities throughout the centuries to this day. On the last installment of this series, the Mayflower turns south from Cape Cod toward their intended destination at the mouth of the Hudson River, where New York would one day be established. But on the way, they encountered storms with strong winds pushing the opposite direction and threatening the seaworthiness of the ship. With the cold winter setting in and provisions running dangerously low, they decided they had no choice but to return back to the harbor at the tip of the hook of Cape Cod, where they laid anchor on this day. The strange land that lay before them was not the land they had been granted the right to settle by the King of England. Because they were outside of the official jurisdiction of their royal charter, the whole venture was at risk of falling apart. The Pilgrims wrote of mutinous speeches by the strangers planning to split off into their own faction once they went ashore. The Pilgrims feared they would face the same fate as the Jamestown colony, which had fallen into a deadly disarray as they starved without having come to an agreement to cooperate when they were at liberty so far away. The Pilgrim Edward Winslow recorded that they then thought it would be best to combine together into one body, submitting to a government which would be agreed upon by common consent. After a period of deliberation between the saints and strangers, they wrote the Mayflower Compact on the lid of a chest for a desk. Their words bear the hallmarks of the American vision of governance, building upon the ancient Anglo-Saxon tradition of folk right. Laws were bound to fulfill the collectively agreed upon missions and would be established by regular meetings of everyone assembled to participate together to determine a course of action for the common good. By signing their names, they agreed to obey the rules established by this new body they now joined as members. This signing was the beginning of America's tradition of written constitutions by the consent of the governed, directly before God and each other as witnesses, without the presence of kings. Countless many more of these sorts of voluntary mutual agreements have been made between Americans since then, shaping this country and bringing forth much fruit to share. Now, let us hear and remember these words of the Mayflower Compact, which continue to echo throughout American constitutional society in each and every generation, from November 11th, 1620, till today, 400 years later, on this quadricentennial celebration.
In the name of God, amen. We, whose names are underwritten, the loyal subjects of our dread sovereign Lord King James, by the grace of God of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, Defender of the Faith, etc., having undertaken for the glory of God an advancement of the Christian faith and honor of our King and country, a voyage to plant the first colony in the northern parts of Virginia, do by these present solemnly and mutually in the presence of God and of one another, covenant and combine ourselves together in a civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation and furtherance of the ends aforesaid, and by virtue hereof to enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinances, acts, constitutions, and offices from time to time as shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony, unto which we promise all due submission and obedience, in witness whereof we have hereunder subscribed our names at Cape Cod the 11th of November, in the year of the reign of our sovereign Lord King James of England, France, and Ireland the 18th, and of Scotland the 54th, Anno Domini 1620.